Okay, this is a video on the major seventh and the minor seventh. In another video we covered the major third and the minor third. We took the major triad. The major third is the characteristic interval of the major triad. Make it a half step smaller, another 2 steps down to 1.5 steps, and you have a minor third. Major, minor. Put the C on top. This still remains the third, and you take it down a half a step, and there's your minor third. Now the root is on top, but from the bottom root it's a step and a half. Now again here, if we put this position of the triad, C, E, and G, 1, 2, and 3 is a major third, 1, 2, a half step, 1.5 steps, minor third. Major third on the bottom, minor third. And that should be done from all white keys and all black keys. You find the major triad from the major scale. The major scale is the mother of all of our music, and from her we find the chords. Okay, now we got the major scale, we got the major triad, we also have the extended major triad at C to C. Alright, there's your major third still, the minor third. Okay. Now if we take the top note, the root, down a half step, that's the major seventh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh is the seventh note of the major scale. On the 5-note major scale, we had 2 whole steps. Another whole step, 1 to 2. Then the second whole step, 2 to 3. Then half step, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 is a whole step. Now, on the whole major scale, we've got 4 notes to start with. Whole step, another whole step, then a half step. Then from 5, we can start that in the right hand. Then a whole step, then a whole step, then a half step. Now, if you'll notice that they're the same pattern. And there's C to D and G to A is a whole step. Then A to B is a whole step. And B to C is a half step, and E to F is a half step. So they're both the same thing. So you have this major scale, this 4-note major scale, then starting from 5, this major scale. 1, 3, 5, 7 is the major 7. Now do that with every scale. And there's a video on the major scale, and that should be reviewed and gone over very carefully. The 5 major scale and the 8-note major scale. Okay. An octave. Half step below the octave is the major 7th. Half step below any root is the major 7th. So long as we take it down a half a step. Down half, there's your major 7th of C. There's your major 7th of C. Always a half step below. So if we have this, we go up an octave, down half step, the major 7th. The root, down a half step, the major 7th. The root, down a half step, the major 7th. The root, down a half step, the major 7th, etc. So, work at that. That's not difficult. Okay, now, half step is a major 7th. If we reduce that by another half step, it becomes a minor 7th. Okay? So now a whole step below the root is a minor 7th. A whole step below the root is the minor 7th. The minor 7th. The root, the minor 7th. Now that doesn't sound very pretty as it is, but add the 3rd. Nice, much nicer. Add the 5th. It really really is quite nice. Add the whole C major triad up here. Take that up an octave. See, there's the major seventh, the whole step below the root. Work at that, your major sevenths and your minor sevenths from all and any and all of the white keys and any and all of the black keys. This is a terribly simple drill, but it's vital. Now let's go ahead and let's combine that with the major third. Alright, with the major triad and then the octave, the extended triad. The minor triad, we have not changed the top note, so it's just a triad. We're doubling the root. Alright, now we've got the minor third here. Now if we have the major seventh, we still have a minor triad, a minor seventh chord or a minor chord because of the minor third, which is the characteristic interval of a minor chord. But now if we have the minor seventh, then we have what we might call a full minor chord because the minor third, the minor seventh. The major third down a half step is the minor third. A whole step below the root, see, is the minor seventh. Okay? Now take that from any A major, A minor, you can go A minor with a major seventh, A minor with a minor seventh. Okay? Take it in the left hand, B flat. Major, extended. Lower that down, there's your minor chord, characteristic. Take that down a half step, you got a minor chord with a major seventh, and the minor chord with a minor seventh, so minor third, minor seventh. There's your full octave, your extended, minor seventh, half step lower, from the root down a whole step is the minor seventh. That is a typical minor chord. A major, A minor. Now take the A, the root, take it down a whole step, and you've got an A minor chord. Now, you could also do this. Take this down a whole step. That's very pretty. You got the minor seventh here because the whole step below the root. It doesn't matter where the root is. A whole step below that root is a minor seventh. Whole step below the root is a minor seventh. Okay, so work at your major triad, your minor triad, and you could go the major seventh if you want to, or go directly to the minor seventh. Therefore you have the typical minor chord. Minor third, minor seventh. Minor third, half step below the major third, and the minor seventh, a whole step below the root. In this case up here, but you could have it down here or you could have it up here. But this is a matter of being aware more than anything else. That's not difficult theory, you might say. It's sort of theory, but it's not. It's just being aware of how you arrive at different sounds. We have major sounds, we have minor sounds. It's that easy. Major sound, minor sound. Major sound, minor sound. Notice then going from this major triad here with the root doubled here, the extended, down a whole step, down a half step is the minor. If we have this, down a half step, down a whole step, there's your minor triad, a minor chord, excuse me. That's a full chord. Now we can add more tones up here, and we will eventually. But for right now, you have to get this idea between major and minor. Okay, one more thing before we end off here. We'll do one more thing. Maybe I shouldn't give you this much, but it's rather simple. So let's do it. Okay. Now then, let's keep the major triad and bring the top note down a whole step. Now we got the minor seventh, but the major third. There's your dominant chord. Dominant meaning dominant identity. And the characteristic intervals of the dominant are the major third and the minor seventh. Never call it a 5-7 chord or a dominant seventh chord, because dominant indicates the fifth note of some scale. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just staying right here. That's it. So this is a dominant sound. Dominant, and also the symbol 5-7 is completely and egregiously incorrect. Wrong, wrong, wrong. This is not a 5-7 chord, because we're not relating it to anything. It's just simply in itself. It's a 5-7 chord. No, it's not a 5-7 chord. It's a dominant. That's a dominant quality. Now, work at that. Major, bring it down your root on top, down the whole step. You get the dominant. Or you could take your root down. There's your dominant. There's the dominant sound. Okay? Now, there are two definitions of dominant. Number one is the fifth note of any scale. Here's the tonic, the basic tone. Tonus, tonic, tone. It's all the same word. The basic tone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the dominant. I don't care what scale you had. A minor scale, that's still the dominant. I think we covered this in one of the previous videos. If you go down, first of all, if you go down a major scale, whole step first, then a half step, 4 to 3, then 2 to 3 to 2 is a whole step. That's the subdominant. This is the dominant. This is the subdominant. Tonic, subdominant, tonic, dominant. There are your basic notes here. Now you could put this up to ear, but look, this is also the basis of the written clef, the bass clef, which is called the F clef, because it's centered around F. This is the G clef in written, in a manuscript. The G clef, the F clef. There's your middle C, in between the two clef, in between the tonic and the subdominant, or in between the F clef and the G clef. I don't have one of those handy, so I can't show you, but I think you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the dominant is the fifth note of a scale. The second definition, which has nothing whatever to do with 5, either up or 5 down, it has to do with identity. This is an identity, a sound identity. You should be able to identify that as a dominant sound. Has nothing to do with 5. Now, 5-7, as I mentioned, is not the symbol for the dominant quality. X is. X. Several authors use X as the dominant. They don't justify it, but they use it. So I will demonstrate it right now. X is the identifying symbol for the dominant sound quality. There's major. The symbol for a major is large M. Symbol for minor is a small m, lowercase m. This is diminished. Symbol for the diminished is a little round circle for diminished. This is half diminished because you got the minor seventh. Well, half diminished. That's a diminished triad, that's a minor seventh, so it's called half diminished. Half diminished is a circle with a line through it. You see, every sound quality has its identifying symbol. For some horrible reason, no theory, traditional theory manual indicates the X as being the identifying symbol for the dominant sound identity. Some people say quality, but quality indicates, good quality, bad quality. This has nothing to do with that. This is an identity, sound identity. Major triad. Bring it down, your top note, the root down a whole step. You've got the dominant sound identity. It has nothing to do with 5 because you don't have 5 listed here. It's just that chord, irregardless of what it's connected to, what key or anything else. It's simply a dominant sound, and it's not, you can identify it as a dominant. So now you got the major triad, the minor triad. You got the major 7th. You got the minor 7th. Then you got the dominant. I was going to say 7th, but I shouldn't even say 7th on the major. That's a major chord. That's a major chord. That's a minor chord with a major 7th. That's a minor chord. That's a dominant chord. All of these chords I'm illustrating here are sound qualities. Sound, I said I don't like the word quality, so let me change that. Sound identity. For instance, unmistakable major scale. Unmistakable major chord. Major chord. Major with a major chord with a major 7th. Dominant, period. Do not include that word 7th. Dominant, minor. Now, this is a lot to handle. Major chord, minor chord, 3 note. We can call them triad because 3 notes. Major and minor from all white keys and all black keys. Then the extended, the major chord with the major 7th. The minor chord with a major 7th. The minor chord with a minor 7th. The major chord with a minor 7th is a dominant, and its characteristic intervals are the major 3rd, the minor 7th. You do not need the 5th, for example. The 5th is simply one of the basic notes. You don't even need this root. That in itself will indicate the C dominant, because this is the major 3rd of C, that's the minor 7th of C. You could put it way down here if you want to, or here, or you could put it up here, or here, or nothing. Mozart did it, just that chord which indicates a dominant, which is the 3rd below this note here. But without that, you still have to surmise that that's a C dominant. This would be a B dominant, 2 steps below the 3rd here, and so on. That's an entirely different subject, so you don't need to do anything with that. But anyway, you do need the majors, the minors, and that dominant chord. If you can work with those and listen to them and understand what's happening here, you will understand a great deal more about the language of music. So this is a theory lesson, and it will all be applied to music, pieces of music, improvisation, etc. But for right now, let's get this theory taken care of. This is purely understanding how music is put together into different sounds. Major, minor, and dominant in this case. Have fun, that's all.